Henri René copyright Albert Guy de Maupassant mopasä Florin. August 5, 1850 July 6, 1893, was a popular French writer, considered one of the fathers of the modern short story and one of the form's finest exponents. Maupassant was a proto-copyright copyright of Flaubert, and his stories are characterized by economy of style and efficient, effortless copyright dénouements. Many are set during the Franco-Prussian War of the 1870s, describing the futility of war and the innocent civilians who, caught up in events beyond their control, are permanently changed by their experiences. He wrote some 300 short stories, 6 novels, 3 travel books, and 1 volume of verse. His first published story, Boule de Suif, is often considered his masterpiece. Biography. Henri René copyright Albert Guy de Maupassant was born on August 5, 1850 at the Cars Centaux de Maupassant, near Dieppe in the Seine-Saint-Denis copyright René department in France. He was the first son of Hippolyte Thévin and Gustave de Maupassant, both from prosperous bourgeois families. When Maupassant was 11 and his brother Henri copyright was 5, his mother, an independent-minded woman, risked social disgrace to obtain a legal separation from her husband. After the separation, Hippolyte Thévin kept her 2 sons. With the for their unregistered trademark S absence, Maupassant unregistered trademark S mother became the most influential figure in the young boy unregistered trademark S life. She was an exceptionally well-read woman and was very fond of classical literature, especially Shakespeare. Until the age of 13, Guy happily lived with his mother, to whom he was deeply devoted, at Epernay-le-Étang, in the Villa des Vergueils, where, between the sea and the luxuriant countryside, he grew very fond of fishing and outdoor activities. At age 13, he was sent to the seminary of Yvetot, near Rouen for classical studies. From his early education he retained a marked hostility to religion, and to judge from verses composed around this time he deplored the ecclesiastical atmosphere, its ritual and discipline. His mother next placed her 2 sons as day boarders in a private school, the Institution Leroy Petit, in Rouen, the Institution Robineau of Maupassant's story La Question du Latin. In 1867, as he entered junior high school, Maupassant made acquaintance with Gustave Flaubert at Croisset at the insistence of his mother. Next year, in autumn, he was sent to the Licourt copyright Pierre Corneille in Rouen, where he proved a good scholar, indulging in poetry and taking a prominent part in theatricals. In October 1868, at the age of 18, he saved the famous poet Algernon Charles Swinburne from drowning off the coast of Epernay-le-Étang. The Franco-Prussian War broke out soon after his graduation from college in 1870. He enlisted as a volunteer. In 1871, he left Normandy and moved to Paris, where he spent 10 years as a clerk in the Navy Department. During this time his only recreation and relaxation was canoeing on the Seine on Sundays and holidays. Gustave Flaubert took him under his protection and acted as a kind of literary guardian to him, guiding his debut in journalism and literature. At Flaubert's home he met Émile Zola and the Russian novelist Ivan Turgenev, as well as many of the proponents of the realist and naturalist schools. He wrote and played himself in a comedy in 1875, La Feuille de Rose, Maison Turque. In 1878, he was transferred to the Ministry of Public Instruction and became a contributing editor to several leading newspapers such as Le Figaro, Gilbert Blas, Le Gaulois and L'Éperméchot de Paris. He devoted his spare time to writing novels and short stories. In 1880 he published what is considered his first masterpiece, Boule de Suif, which met with instant and tremendous success. Flaubert characterized it as a masterpiece that will endure. This was Maupassant's first piece of short fiction set during the Franco-Prussian War, and was followed by short stories such as De Amis, Mother Savage, and Mademoiselle Fifi. The decade from 1880 to 1891 was the most fertile period of Maupassant's life. Made famous by his first short story, he worked methodically and produced 2 or sometimes 4 volumes annually. His talent and practical business sense made him wealthy. In 1881 he published his first volume of short stories under the title of La Maison Tellure. It reached its 12th edition within 2 years. In 1883 he finished his first novel, Une vie, 25,000 copies of which were sold in less than a year. His second novel Belle Amie, which came out in 1885, had 37 printings in 4 months. His editor, Havard, commissioned him to write more stories, and Maupassant continued to produce them efficiently and frequently. At this time he wrote what many consider to be his greatest novel, Pierre et Jean. With a natural aversion to society, he loved retirement, solitude, and meditation. He traveled extensively in Algeria, Italy, England, Brittany, Sicily, Auvergne, and from each voyage brought back a new volume. He cruised on his private yacht Belle Amie, named after his novel. This life did not prevent him from making friends among the literary celebrities of his day. Alexandre Dumas, Fils had a paternal affection for him. At Aix-les-Bains he met Hippolyte Taine and became devoted to the philosopher-historian. Flaubert continued to act as his literary godfather. His friendship with the Goncourts was of short duration. His frank and practical nature reacted against the ambience of gossip, scandal, duplicity, and invidious criticism that the two brothers had created around them in the guise of an 18th-century-style salon. Maupassant was one of a fair number of 19th-century Parisians, including Alexandre Dumas and Charles Garnier, who did not care for the Eiffel Tower. He often ate lunch in the restaurant at its base, not out of preference for the food but because it was only there that he could avoid seeing its otherwise unavoidable profile. He and 46 other Parisian literary and artistic notables attached their names to an elaborately irate letter of protest against the tower's construction, written to the Minister of Public Works. Maupassant also wrote under several pseudonyms such as Joseph Prunier, Guy de Varmont, and Maure Frigneuse. In his later years he developed a constant desire for solitude, an obsession for self-preservation, and a fear of death and paranoia of persecution caused by the syphilis he had contracted in his youth. On January 2, 1892, Maupassant tried to commit suicide by cutting his throat, and was committed to the private asylum of Esprit Blanche at Passy, in Paris, where he died on July 6, 1893. Guy de Maupassant penned his own epitaph, "I have coveted everything and taken pleasure in nothing." He is buried in section 26 of the Cimetière du Montparnasse, Paris. Significance: Maupassant is considered one of the fathers of the modern short story. He delighted in clever plotting, and served as a model for Somerset Maugham and O. Henry in this respect. His stories about expensive jewelry are imitated with a twist by Maugham and Henry James. Taking his cue from Balzac, Maupassant wrote comfortably in both the high realist and fantastic modes. Stories and novels such as Le Copyright and Belle Amie aim to recreate Third Republic France in a realistic way, whereas many of the short stories describe apparently supernatural phenomena. The supernatural in Maupassant, however, is often implicitly a symptom of the protagonist's troubled minds. Maupassant was fascinated by the burgeoning discipline of psychiatry, and attended the public lectures of Jean-Martin Charcot between 1885 and 1886. This interest is reflected in his fiction. Legacy: Maupassant is notable as the subject of one of Leo Tolstoy's essays on art, The Works of Guy de Maupassant. Friedrich Nietzsche's autobiography mentions him in the following text: "I cannot at all conceive in which century of history one could haul together such inquisitive and at the same time delicate psychologists as one can in contemporary Paris. I can name as a sample for their number is by no means small. Or to pick out one of the stronger race, a genuine Latin to whom I am particularly attached, Guy de Maupassant." Even Jean Roddenberry was influenced by Maupassant's philosophies. When creating the Questa tapes, he had envisioned the android character of Questa to be well-read, which included Maupassant's theory that the human female will open her mind to a man to whom she has opened other channels of communications. This influenced an early draft of the TV movie's script in which the android Questa is trying to obtain information from a woman who knew his creator, but was reluctant to give him her information. He subsequently romanced the woman, copulated with her, and eventually got the information he sought. Unfortunately, because of complaints from NBC executives about a robot making love to a woman, This particular part of the script was never filmed. Gene would later succeed in having an android and a woman make love when the character of Data is seduced by crewmate Tasha Yar in the Star Trek, The Next Generation episode The Naked Now. Bibliography. Short stories. The Piece of String, The Artist, novels, Une vie, belle amie, Montreal, Pierre et Jean, Fort comme la mort, Notre Coeur, short story collections, Les Soirs copyright de ma copyright Dan, La Maison Tellier, Mademoiselle Fifi, Constant la Barre copyright Cass, Miss Harriet, Les Arts Rondelie, Claire de Lune, Yvette, Contes du jour et de la nuit, Monsieur Parent, La Petite Roque, Toin, La Holla, La Rosière de Madame Hassan, La Main Gauche, Mutal Buta copyright, Travel Writing, or Soleil, Solo, La Vie Errante. Poetry, Desvers containing Nuit de Nerge, references. External links, Maupassant Diana, a French scholar's website on Maupassant and his works, works by or about Guy de Maupassant at Internet Archive, works by Guy de Maupassant at Project Gutenberg, works by Guy de Maupassant at LibriVox, Université Copyright McGill, Le Roman selon les romanciers recensement et analyse des copyright crits non-romanesques de Guy de Maupassant, works by Guy de Maupassant at Online Literature, works by Guy de Maupassant in ebooks, works by or about Guy de Maupassant in libraries, works by Guy de Maupassant, Maupassant biography, French, Œuvres de Maupassant, Athena.